Hey guys, how's it going? On today's video, we're going to do the driving overview of the E30 Easy Electric Power Steering Conversion. If you haven't seen the previous install video, go ahead, check it out. Link in the description, and I'll put it in the top right corner of this video. Instead of breaking this up into 5 different videos like I did with the rack swap guide, I'm just going to put it all in one, and we're going to go E30, E36, 96 plus. I'm going to skip the 95. I don't really think there's too much of a point to do that one. Then we'll do Z3. We'll do the E46 rack, so yellow and purple. And we'll finish off with the Z4 rack, which I think is the perfect rack for this combo. Electric power steering from factory the Z4 had. So it's just a nice, perfect fit. If you guys are interested in the Easy Electric Power Steering column for E30, 2002, and E21s, you can check it out. Link below, rageitparts.com. You can hit me up on Instagram at rageitparts, or you can hit me up on Instagram at themassdriver. Now, before we get into the video, there was a bunch of questions people had from my post on Facebook about this. So the first thing is left-hand drive and right-hand drive models. This kit and the E21 kit is interchangeable with both. The 2002 kit is different for left-hand and right-hand drive, but the E30 kit and the E21 kit is interchangeable. So your left-hand drive kit will fit your right-hand drive car, and it's good to go. Another question was, everyone had a question about feel. So this is the dial, which I really didn't go over, which is my mistake. But you have, you can really tune this into how you want it to feel. From all the way on to it being off, you get to choose how much assist you want. All the way on is, as you'll see in the video, is crazy. I mean, it is lighter than power steering, and you really can't drive with it all the way on, and you will most likely turn it down to fit how you want it to feel, because all the way on is, you take your pinky and you're just, the car will just move because it's so light and lighter than power steering. So, most of the time while actually driving, it's off for me. I like the raw feeling of just the car and the road. But the second, I'm pulling up to a stop sign, coming to a stop, I'm in a parking lot, I turn it on. I want that extra assist. I don't want, the steering wheel super heavy on, let's say, a Z3 rack. No power steering, that thing is almost impossible to turn. So, just adding, turning it all the way on in a parking lot, it is a breeze. It is so easy to turn. And then just, when I get back to driving, just turn it off. So that was one of the other questions about it. Now, I also didn't do a great job showing size once it's installed. So if you can excuse the mess right here, and I'm working on tucking the fuse box on the inside, which you guys will see up shortly. But as you can see here, this is the motor. There's your column, all stock, a little bit extra motor for width-wise right here. But other than that, that's the only added width. On your US cars, you will have your ABS unit right here. And as you saw in the install video, it is a little close right there, but that's very easy to fix, and there's not an issue there. But as far as any other wiring, you're not going to have an issue, and that's the only space that it really takes up. Doesn't take up really any room added on the bottom either. Now, other few questions. This is a column swap. It has nothing to do with the rack. You can run whatever steering rack you want to run. And a lot of people ask, will it work with my motor swap? Yes, because it still has nothing to do with anything in the engine bay. It is just a column replacement, and it will end at the same point your stock column will end. And if you have an aftermarket linkage, you can still run that aftermarket linkage to whatever rack you are running. And another question was, how does it compare to hydraulic power steering? It's hard to compare it to hydraulic power steering because it's not, how should I put this? Once you dial it into how you want it to feel, I would say it feels pretty close to hydraulic power steering, just in the fact that, you're able to tune it how you want it to be. So you could put it on full assist, which is super light and super easy to move the wheel. And, you know, you could say, oh, it feels like hydraulic power steering because it just does it like normal. Like there's no, you know, there's no heaviness to it, and it just goes. And then you can turn it down a little bit, and it gives you less assist and a little bit more raw feeling. And you could still say, well, it feels like, you know, hydraulic power steering because it still gives you the assist that I need, but it's still not, it's still raw. And then you can turn it off and you're like, well, you know, now I'm driving without power steering. So it's hard to equate it from power steering to no power steering, at least hydraulic wise. But, you know, it wouldn't say it's not the same. You know, it's definitely not the same, but it's close. Hydraulic power steering is what it is. It's still, you know, some hydraulic power steering is heavy, which you can dial this down to being heavy but still have assist. You can dial it all the way up to it's going to be even lighter than the feel of hydraulic power steering. I think it's hard to compare the two because this is not a constant, you know, power steering's constant. It's always running, it's always pumping fluid. This, you know, it's not constant. So you could dial it and adjust it how you want it to be rather than just a power steering pump being a power steering pump and is always going. And like I said, it's not constant. It's based on torque. So the harder you apply force, the more assist it'll give you. If you're just putting in light movements, you know, there's no assist and it's still a great feeling on the road. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, so this is easy power steering. It's all the way on at the moment, and so let's just start it. I mean, it is just, I mean, you feel a lot more when you're driving, but it is fantastic just turning. So let me turn it all the way off. And all the way back. Yeah, this is great. All right. Let's see if we can catch up to that Audi. So now this is all the way on. So it is super light. It's almost like driving a brand new car because, you know, most of these cars have the electric steering assist and it's no longer power steering, but it is way lighter than the E30 with power steering. It definitely is a little dull. It's not as raw. I would definitely like dial it down a little bit, but for the use of this video, we're gonna go all the way. So it does just, you know, wherever you want to go, it goes, and it's light, it's effortless. There's nothing to it. And the nice part about it is if you don't want it that light, you can just turn it off. But it's just an easy walk in the park. There's no headache to it. It's just, you know, don't be worried that it's too heavy. You know, if you want to run without power steering, that if someone else gets in the car, it's too heavy for them, because it is, I mean, there is nothing to it. And then I am going to turn it off right now. And there's a lot more effort that is needed to turn the wheel, even though it's going. There's so much more to it. And then all you have to do is turn it back on, and it's as, not all the way on. It's as light as a feather again. Yeah, It is just, when there's a little bit of wheel speed, it's super light. When there's no wheel speed, it's super light. And then when you turn it off again, and it's just heavy again. I mean, 96 plus M3 rack. But it is just an absolute ease. I mean, it's like nothing. So the nice thing with this one is, since there is not that weird sweet spot in the center like the M3 rack, it feels the same all the way around, even in corners. It is loose, but that's the nice part, is you can kind of dial that out if you wanted to with the knob. It's definitely too loose for me, but keeping all the tests the same, full on. But you know, the greatest thing is just when you're at that start-stop trying to make a U-turn, like without the power steering, I can't make a U-turn with this. I can't pull the wheel hard enough to get it to go, making a U-E. So this, turn it on and you're good to go, U-E, no problem. 2 fingers all the way around, not an issue. Like you don't have to really even try. It just assists you. If you need some help pulling the wheel, it just adds a little bit to it. I wouldn't say it has anything to do with the rack, besides not feeling that looseness. And that I would say it's not the loosest. Like E31 was like nothing. It was so numb and there's no feeling whatsoever in it. But you still get a little bit of feel even with the assist. Z3 rack, electric power steering. I mean, it is just, there's nothing. Although it's not on full assist right now, but when it is, it's nothing. It's super light. It still is heavier than the other racks. Like, you could still feel how heavy the rack is even with the assist fully on. But this is super twitchy. Definitely, you know, I have the full assist on for the sake of testing, but I would definitely not drive with it on, like a full assist on. It is just, it's too light. The lightness of the steering plus the twitchiness of it, it's not a great combo. You lose feeling a little bit in it. It's just the slightest turn in the wheel, if you don't feel that you're turning it yourself, because it's just so light that, you know, I mean, all you need is the 2 fingers to turn. With power steering or without, you still need a whole hand on it to really be able to turn the wheel. But I mean, it is just like there's nothing, you know, nothing there. But again, as usual, the nice part is turn it off and you're back to full stiffness, where it's a lot of effort with the 2 fingers. You really need a hand to really control it. E46 purple rack. It is, you still have that heavy feel to it, and when it's fully on, which, like the test, I'm doing full on with every single one of them, but it's still actually heavy. Like, you can still feel the heaviness like the Z3 rack. there is still a good feel to it. It is just slightly too much. So if you were to dial it down just a little bit, it would be like perfect feeling. But unlike the Z3 rack, it's not twitchy. Yes, it's super light still, but you don't have the twitchiness like you did in the Z3 rack. And then unlike the E36 racks, I'm not even going to talk about the E30 rack, but unlike the E36 racks, you're not, the feeling isn't getting, of the road isn't getting drowned out while it's fully on. So you still get a good feel because the rack is just so heavy. But if you just dialed it back just a little bit on the knob, it would be really good. And then if you want to do a U-turn or something, you can always dial it back up, and it makes life easy. But canyon driving, more towards the lower end of it, the rack still felt good with no power steering, but it's super heavy, and it took a lot of effort to really turn the wheel. E46 yellow tag, electric power steering. The E46 had the purple tag, had a nice weight to it, even though it was full-on electric, and that's pretty much gone. It's pretty light. It's still not twitchy like the Z3 rack was, but you do lose some feeling again, like the two E36 racks. You lose a little bit of the feeling. There's still a little bit there, still in it, but it's light. Nice thing, you can dial it out. It takes no effort to turn with the electric power steering. It's still a nice feel. Z4 rack with electric power steering. It's just easy. So like I've said for most of the racks, the power steering is all the way on, it's adjustable, and it's probably a little bit too much assist. If you're at a dead stop making a U-turn, it's perfect when it's full on, but when you're actually driving, you probably want to be about halfway or less. I probably would be close to off with this rack, but it is, you know, there is no effort to it. It's a very easy, but it's just an easy, it's just easy. There's nothing to it. When you're not, if you're giving it too much input, you lose feeling in it. But if it's just light input, you still feel the road plenty. So it's nice to not, you still have feeling to it, even all the way on. If you're giving it small inputs, you still have a nice feeling to it. But if you're giving it hard inputs, you start losing that feeling of the road. I would say you still have, like, for the little bit of feeling you have if you're giving it small motions, you have you have a little less feeling than I did with the E46 purple tag rack or the Z3 rack, just because those racks were so heavy that even with the electric power steering you still felt them. But just unlike the E30 and the E36 rack, where it's just completely numb when you have the electric assist. still 3.0 just like the E46 racks. Unlike the Z3 rack, it doesn't have that twitchiness at high speed. And it's you know, it's an overall nice rack, and if you want it without power, you just take it off. Just some final thoughts to finish up the video. Electric power steering isn't for everyone. I think it is a fantastic option if you're looking for something that gets rid of your power steering and you can get rid of all the fluid and everything that has to do with it, and it gives you that assist when you want it. Yes, it is expensive to do, but in my opinion, it's worth it. You know, I typically drive without, you know, I really like the feeling without power steering or without assist, but it really comes down to, you know, when I'm in a parking lot trying to make a quick U-turn or trying, you know, just trying to enjoy the drive for the day and not want to, you know, put that much input into it, that I can dial it into how I feel and, you know, turn it up on the days that I want the extra assist and leave it off when, you know, I don't want it. So I think it's a great option in that aspect. And if you're going, you know, a little bit more modern with your build, you know, you get rid of power steering and replace it with this. It's just something different and new, and it's just a great way to upgrade your E30. Some people say it's a downgrade, and I won't fight that, you know, opinion. E30s are meant to be analog and raw, and I still think that even with this, it's still analog and raw. You know, it just, when you want it to be a little more easy to drive, it's easy to drive. So if you guys are interested in a kit, again, rageitparts.com, or you can message me on Instagram at rageitparts or at the Mass Driver. So thank you guys for watching. Again, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section down below and I will respond to them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys need any E30, E36 M3, Z3M, E46 M3 parts, make sure you hit up my parts page at rageitparts or rageitparts.com. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.